Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Arise. Today we are reviewing the book Expect to Win by Carla Harris. And this is an amazing book. If you have not read this book, I strongly recommend that you grab a copy and read. If you're looking to grow and advance in your career, this is an amazing book. So we decided to do today's session live in public. For a number of reasons, but key one being that this is a topic that I think will benefit everybody, not just women. And especially if you're a person of color in, I hate that phrase actually, especially if you're, for lack of a better word, a racialized individual professional, I think that this will be very beneficial to you. And the I will begin the sorry, just a second. I will begin the session, but I won't be the one to complete it. So once we have the person who is going to continue from me, um, all right, that didn't work. Once we have the person who will be continuing, who will be leading the remaining session show up, she'll continue from there and take it on. So without much ado, let's jump in. So welcome. This is Ladies Arise, and we'll talk about what Ladies Arise is and what we do in a short while. We have some people who are online in the Zoom. So if they have anything to say, you might hear their voices. But yeah, and this is supposed to be interactive. So today we're just going to go over some of the chapters of the book. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I just want to make sure that you can hear me. I see you've been in and out. Hello? You can't hear. Oh, okay. Um, can you hear me? Just to be sure. Okay. Wow. I don't know what's going on. Are you connected to the audio for on your phone? I'm not sure what's going on there. Hopefully that gets figured out. Okay, so we're just going to go over so if you read the book, and this is, or if you've ever read the book, if you're joining us on YouTube and you've ever read the book, just drop a chat and let us know I have read the book. That would be great. And if you are in Zoom and you have read the book, just put a chat to say I have read the book and maybe one word to describe what you feel about the book. That would be great. I have read the book, and one thing I would say is that it's something that everybody needs. If you're going to grow in your career, you need this book. You need this book. So yeah, something everybody needs. So we're going to do a little icebreaker exercise. Hi, Precious, welcome. So we are live on YouTube, not the private link today, but the public one. So if you want to speak, and you can, I encourage you to turn on your camera if you're talking so that people can see your beautiful faces. But if not, feel free to just unmute and speak. If you want to say anything, ask a question, make a contribution, and you can drop questions in the Q&A or in the chat. And yeah, so, okay, so icebreaker. If you want to type the answers, feel free to do that. But if you also want to just unmute and talk about it, that's fine as well. So what city do you reside in? In one word, how are you feeling at this moment? And do you have any distractions right now? I have kids running around, so yes, I have distractions. And then if you want to tell us your favorite TV show or book, that will be great. Again, drop that in the chat or mute to those of us on Zoom. Are we okay to unmute and talk? Yeah. Yes. No. No. Yes. If you are, let me know, and then I can ask you to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. If you're not okay to talk, then drop your responses in the chat box and then I'll read them out from there. Okay, so if I since you are willing to talk, can you tell us all of this?
So I stay in Saskatoon. What am I feeling? One word. What am I feeling right now? I don't know. Excited. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, excited will be the word for me now. Distractions. Yes, I have my TV on, so that's also
Turn it off.
another side distraction. My favorite TV show or book. My favorite book. I feel like my favorite book always changes depending on the season. Um, Let me say the last book I read that I really loved was "A Woman Is No Man" by Taff Rom. I loved it, loved it, loved it,
Mm.
loved it. So that was the last book I read that I really, really liked. If I were to be anything without worrying about money, what will I be doing? I'll be living my best life.
Doing what?
I don't know. I guess I would just be maybe just traveling from place to place, vacationing all the time. That
Mm.
kind of just not working. I feel no, that's what I'll be
Well,
living
and
a
who knows? You
billionaire
can make
life.
money out of just even doing that, the
Well,
travels.
it's true. But then even that, you have to be recording and be mindful of creating content and all that kind of thing. Just like living in the moment, enjoying it, right? That would be
Mm. Right. So living in the moment, traveling from place to place. Okay. All right. Kate, can you hear us now? I don't I don't know if you can. It doesn't look like you can. No? Okay. Precious, are you able to speak?
I am, but I'm baking, so
So yes, no?
I can talk. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, go ahead. So your baking is your distraction.
yeah. Baking is my distraction. Trying to make money is my distraction.
That's a
Um,
good distraction.
yep. And what's the other one?
So what city? Oh, you're in Regina. What city do you
Oh, I'm in
reside in?
Regina. Regina,
Yeah,
Regina.
the most
Yeah.
beautiful city on the
And
planet.
yeah, well, except for the weather. Um, distractions. Do you have any distractions? Yeah, I'm baking. In one word, how are you feeling right now? A little rush of emotions because I have a deadline to meet at 1, 2, and 3. So I'm just like trying to get everything done at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, what's a favorite TV show or book? There's a TV show that just came out on Netflix and is doing something to me. It's called
Mhm.
How to Get
Also be
Rich.
rich.
As people are just but it's a really good one, like just learning from people's mistakes and the decisions people make with their money. And I'm just like, are you on this planet, or how much people are making and they are wasting at the same time? So it's just like learning from other people's experiences. So at the moment I'm loving it. I'm not really a bookish person like that, so I barely read books, but I love TV shows, and and maybe listen to major messages and all that. Um, if you were to be anything without worrying about money, what would you be doing? Um, hmm. I think like if I say just create content and sleep and get this passive income coming into because I've seen people made like millions on YouTube and stuff like that. So I think that's where I'll let me
Mhm.
just make them do the work and then make money off it, in years and all that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. I see Kate's trying to reconnect to audio again. Let's see. Hopefully, she's able to get that fixed. I really wish I could help you, Kate. All right. So, for those watching, there's somebody. Excuse me. For those watching on YouTube, feel free to drop your comments and tell us, what that is for you. And yes, I have to share too. So, I reside in Regina, the most sunny and beautiful city on planet Earth. Some people will come for me. In one word, what am I feeling right now? Quite frankly, I'm feeling excited, honestly. Yeah, and it's crazy because there's nothing specific happening that's really causing the excitement. I just feel this bubble on the inside. So, do I have any distractions? I got kids running around. So, if you see them, just say hi and smile and wave. One of my favorite recent TV shows or book. Huh. That's a hard one. I'm actually planning to watch the How to Get Rich with my kids, so I don't know yet if it's a favorite. But book, maybe with I'll go with book. And I think recent, since it says recent, I think my most recent one really would be Becoming, because we read that book 2 months ago, a couple months back. And so, of all the recent things in my life right now, that's one of my favorites. And that's because that book just, it's somebody's memoirs. But if you really have an appreciation for memoirs, you'll know that, within those memoirs, you can see practical living things that you can apply to yourself, from raising kids and whatnot to everything that they've been that book has. It's a powerful book, to be honest with you. It's a very powerful book. But anyway, um, yeah, and I'm still applying things from that book in my life. I don't know who iPad is. Welcome, iPad. Thank you for joining. We're YouTube live, public link today, not private. So just to give you a heads up. And yeah, so who's iPad? And do you want to go with this and then I guess we can move on from
there. Abosede is iPad.
Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So your turn on our icebreaker.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Before you go, I didn't answer my last one. If I were to be anything if money and all that were not an issue, and I were to be anything, to be honest, I'm doing some of the things that I would love to do. The only thing is maybe I would scale them. And some of those things are be an author, write books, create content, just sometimes jump online and just share thoughts and learnings with people, teach people. I will go into lifelong study. So I'm already doing a PhD. Quite frankly, I'm doing some of those things. I just need to scale. The only thing I think I'm finding myself that I might like to add is I'll be a radio host or a TV host, whatever. Shall host a show. Yeah. Have a steady show that I host. That's the other thing that I'd like to be. And of course, the travel is part of it. So it'll be like a continuous road show where I'm hosting things, people, whatever. So that's what I'll be if I didn't have that. Sorry, Auntie Abosede, I wanted to complete my own before I jump off. Your turn now.
That's okay. Let's see. Which city do I reside? Of course, Regina. That's where God lives. Sorry, I'm being cheeky. Feelings in one. What am I feeling at this moment? A bit distracted because I was hoping my husband would be okay. I think I'm linking it to the distraction part. I was hoping my husband would be home to help with the boys, but he had the last minute engagement, so would be doing this and also making sure that the boys are safe downstairs. Or you guys can be hearing noises filter through. So
you and me. I have 4 kids in my house right now, so I already shared that. So we're together on that table.
Okay, so yeah, bear with us on that. My favorite TV show. Honestly, of recent, I have not been watching TV. I just don't have the time to sit in front of a TV to watch TV shows. But I think I remember back then it was probably like any kind of cooking show, or George Judy show. Yeah. And of recent, I think I heard that Jerry Springer died. I remember growing up, that was one of my favorite TV shows growing up. So if I were to be anything without worry about money, what would that be? Be involved in NGO would be hits, like making impact, making my little quota of contributions in any way I can would be hits without the restriction of money, like what I have dreamed up in my mind, and I look at how much it's going to cost to run it. I'm like, wow. So I think that would be hits.
Okay. All right. All right. So because of time, I know I see Tolu just joined us, and Kate hasn't gone. She's having issues with her audio. But in the interest of time, Tolu and Kate, can I ask you both to drop a response to the questions in the chat? If I can, you help me or I can put the questions in the chat, and then yeah, I can put the questions in the chat. Oops, what did I just do? What did I just do? Can you still see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, please, if you can just put your response to the questions in the chat, and then once I see them, I'll read them out if that's okay, just in the interest of time. Thank you for joining. Welcome. Okay. And if you need me to put it back in, just let me know. Okay. All right. So, Auntie Abasidi, are you taking over?
Yes, I will be taking over right away, but we needed to play self-made project. I think I'm having computer issues too, so.
Oh yeah, it's okay. But you can see the screen, right? Everyone can see the screen?
Yes,
okay.
I can. I'm trying to set up my camera on this iPad. Hopefully it's working. Oh, I believe it's working. Okay, sorry, what is my timeline so that I don't overshoot time? When is the hard stop?
12:30. Let's shoot for an hour, 15 minutes.
Sounds good. So that would be 2 o'clock.
Oh, is it? No, that would be 1:45.
1:35. Oh, I thought it's an hour, 15 minutes. Okay.
Oh, so sounds did good. I mean, yeah, an hour, 15 minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
1:30. Yeah, 1:45.
Okay. Thank you, sis, for kickstarting this conversation. And when I picked up this book to start reading, I really did not know what to expect. But I started reading it. I'm like, I wish I can advertise it to as many people as possible, especially women, because there were a lot of nuggets in it that I wish I had known earlier on in my career that would probably have been helpful. So yeah, it's a great book. And that's why inside the WhatsApp group, I had to tell people that, hey, even though you've not finished reading it, let's come together and have that conversation. As long as you have a career, either you are still at your early phase of your career or mid phase of your career or late phase of your career, even if you are even yet to attempt starting a career, everyone would find a piece of nugget or more than one piece of nugget that works for them. So I found this quote that says, when women are among leaders in organization, there is a wider lens of strategic thinking. Group divisions can weather problems and issue better and can identify innovative solution faster. And for me personally, I can relate to this quote because of recent, I was in a women leadership. Oh, you can hear my voice, please forgive me. I was in a women leadership program, and we were asked to do different sorts of activities. And one of those acts, as in the course of the activities, just the line of thought, the approach, and the tools that each woman were kind of bringing to the table. It's the same activity, splitted up in different groups, and everyone was asked to kind of present, and you could tell the difference on the perspective the women kind of bring in to be able to achieve that activity. So to me, I kind of agree with this quote. So can you please go on to the next slide, please? Am I able to? No, I can't. Okay. So initially I told Anita that I will not be putting a PowerPoint presentation together. But at the last minute I put it in. And one of the reasons why one of two reasons, but the major reason why I put it in was, as I was reading this book, and she was talking about how you can develop yourself and develop some of your skill sets, especially the ones you know that will be helpful to your career. And she gave example of how she had to develop her presentation skill set and how to be confident and make sure that she's bringing forth a wow presentation. And I thought about it, this is an opportunity for you to practice more on your presentation skills, because I can easily wing it with conversation, but putting those slideshows together, I would do it if I really have to. But this time around, I'm like, even though I don't really have to, let me keep practicing it and get better at it. So, and as I was putting this together, I kind of came across this and I just thought this is quite good to share, that shows the different industry that kind of attract and retain women. And I think this survey, I don't know how 100 accurate it is, but I think it was done by KPMG or one of these auditing firms that did it. So I would say it's kind of close to accurate. So looking at the retail, definitely you'll find more women in retail. Life sciences and medical sciences, you'll find more women in that as field. Consumer product, definitely. Technology, media, and communication, especially now that like you find more women in IT field, talking of from business analysis to building product portfolio. I think Funke works in IT. Like just looking at that diversity, it's been growing. Energy and resources, you would find more. I mean, there are women there, but not as much as the other industry. And for me, I work in the manufacturing, and we kind of fall under that 1% group. So I'm like, but the good thing is that all of this industry is opening up, is done more and welcoming women. And some of them are even more intentional on helping to give women one more platform to be able to help them to succeed. So I'm hoping that for all of us in this meeting, we can find one industry where we kind of fit in. But like I said, I would look at my own is more around that process and chemical, and that's like 1%, if not less. Even at the facility where I work, for every 20 men, there is about one woman, just to give you an insight into how my industry looks like. So for those of you that have more women in your industry, please, I would say, let's harness that power, that energy, that strength we have together. So please, let's go to the next slide. And I will try not to do most of the talking today because, yeah, we're looking to learn from the book, or we bring up nugget from the book, but we want to learn from you. We want to understand what are your current challenges in as a career woman. What are your current challenges? I kind of tie it back to some of the nuggets that Carla, some of the nuggets that Carla has been able to identify in the book and see how we can put it to use. So, and according to Jack Welch, it says, before you are a leader, it's gone. Before you're a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And I quite agree. For me personally, I quite agree with it. I think before I got into into a managerial role, I was more focused on how I can grow myself, how I can be better and bring the best of me to the place of work. But now that I have to work with different people, as in the way the table kind of switched around. So it's no longer about me. How can I make sure that the team that I'm working with, they are getting value out of me and I'm able to get value out of them. So that means I have to be ready to pour into them, and which means helping them to grow. So let's go to the next slide, please. So now it's time for us to talk. So please, I would encourage us to be open. Like I said, if you have any current challenges in your career, you might not find the 100% solution you're looking for, but maybe you might find some kind of pathway to help you start looking for solutions to it. And if you have been successful in your career, let's talk about it. What did you do that has gotten you to where you are today? Or if you're just at that early phase of your career, let's be ready to talk about it. And I don't want us to feel intimidated that, oh, this person has 20 years of experience and I'm just 1 year's experience. My voice is not relevant in this conversation. Everyone's voice is relevant in this conversation. So the question I have here is that what are some of the challenges that you recall women facing either in your workplace, especially for those of you that work in the industry whereby there are more women population in that industry, or even that you as a woman has faced in the course of your career. So let's talk. And I know there's not a lot of us here, so I think it makes it easy for me to just go through the list and we can speak up and talk. So bear with me. So in descending order, I believe that's the right word. I'm going to call on Tolu. What challenges are you facing as a woman in your industry, or what challenges have you seen or observed other women in your industry face?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here. I would say, well, for me, I don't think I'm facing any challenges right now because I've got a woman as a manager, so she's comfortable with us women being around her. But I also know that for a couple of people, they face challenges. They think women don't think strategically, or probably they just feel men are more knowledgeable than women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Okay, thank you so much. And I have Precious next on the list. Is she making snack?
She did say that will be her distraction. So
okay, that's good. So I'll just go to the next one on the list.
But there she is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very, very but like I can still talk. I feel like career-wise, it's my own is really like taking the back burner at the moment. I'm just focused on my business and also trying to see how I can navigate into the whole, because I did petroleum system engineering in school, and I'm like, okay, now that I'm married and I'm eventually going to have children at some point. I don't think I want to be in the field and all of those things. So I'm now settled on what I wanted to do. So I'm just in the point where I'm just applying for jobs and hopefully something comes across. I don't really have that much to say with respect to career path or not.
Yeah, sounds good. And I think there was a part of I think chapter 1 or 2, I can't remember, that talks about having. Helmeta, Mom is busy. Can you please go watch TV? Thank you.
Hi, what about colors?
Go watch TV. Thank you. Sorry, distraction. Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was chapter 1 or chapter 2, and she was talking about having an agenda. And I'm looking forward to that part of this chapter about coming up with an agenda about how we want our career path. For some of us, we have a clear cut on what I want to be when I grow up. Some of us have that clear cut, and some of us, we don't have that clear cut, but we're smart enough to be able to document it. And for someone like me, I wasn't that smart enough to be able to document it, and I just kept finding myself. I would say my career has been more of a chance than something structured. It would have been much easier if it was structured, but it's more of a chance. So I quite connect with you, Precious, when you talked about, you are still kind of starting out, family and kids and all of that. And I believe there's a mix of us in this meeting today that we are currently at that phase of, we have kids, we are working, we want to be a career woman and hustle, having to run the home and make sure that we are being the best at home as a wife, as a mother, and also being the best at our place of work, or even if we are running business, we have been the best at what we do. So thank you. Kate. Kate, are you with us? Okay, I will skip and hopefully she's able to speak. Kofo. Okay, Kate, if you're unable to speak, can you hear me? there is kind of some background noises from your hand. So I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, she typed in the chat that she can hear.
Okay, so
We can't hear her. We only
I
hear
can't
the
hear you, but
muffles.
if you can put your own thought in the chat, then we can read it up. So just the question is on the screen. What challenges have you seen women face in your career? Or what have you as a woman, what challenges have you faced in your career? So I'll go on to Kofo.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, we are afternoon.
Yeah. For me personally, I guess
Mommy,
one of the first things I can.
I don't want mac and cheese soup. Alphabet soup.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kofo.
Okay. I guess one of the first challenges that I faced, which is very, very ironic because I was working with a woman, and it was it was it was just kind of difficult around trying to have work-life balance because the woman boss, I would say she didn't necessarily have it. So she couldn't see the need why we should. So I think that was one of the first challenges I faced was having work-life balance. And I think this is just general, not just with respect to just a woman, but like generally just that work-life balance. But then the ones that I've seen people face, like now in my career, I think is again it ties down to the work-life balance for around after once the once the woman now has a child, like after giving birth, there's always just that struggle of trying to take care of the home and then being at work, or maybe you want to leave work a little bit early to go up and pick the kids. I found out that some of the women I work with now that have kids, it's always a constant what's the word, negotiation on time. Oh, I need to leave early, or I need to resume late, or I need to go for basketball practice, or things like that. So I find that challenging. I find that from other people. And I think one other thing I've also noticed is um working with people that are working with the other gender that could be a little bit I found it a little bit challenging at first because I could be very quiet and it's not like I'm quiet because I don't know what to say. And I'm strategic when I want to talk. Like I know when I want to talk and when I don't want to talk. And then when I want to talk, I find it that the people in the room, mostly male, I don't know if it's I don't know, maybe I'm just stereotyping or generalizing, but they find the need to always talk. And then I end up not talking because like everyone is talking. So and then even when you want to say something, someone is interrupting you. Oh Lord. Yeah. So then I just go mute. Like, okay, you guys obviously know everything. You just continue. But later on, I found out that was not working because of the way I am. I could go quiet like that and not say anything, but it gets to a point where it started bothering me that I did not say something. And then it started bothering me that I don't say much. I don't say anything, even though I know what to say, even though I know that what they are saying does not even make sense. And then I started talking. So even if I don't, thank God for virtual meetings. So even if I don't talk, I will probably write this in the chat. And then someone might call me to now say something. And then sometimes I just say it. I say it, give one or two lines and that's it. But I found that a bit challenging too, having to voice your opinion when there are a lot of strong opinions. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense. And you know what? Carla did address that in the book. As you were saying it, I was smiling. And yeah, she did address it about how some of the men would want to talk down on you or make your work kind of very insignificant. And I can so relate with it because I work in a male-dominated industry. And even I still experience this thing you just talked about. Just this past week, I still experienced it. So I can totally relate to it. I'll just go on. So if I just please.
So I feel like the one issue I face, I don't know if it's more women related, but I just find that there are not as many resources about upskilling your career when it has to do with healthcare, right? Like I'm a shift worker, I'm not a 9 to 5 corporate office kind of person. So I feel like most of the books that you have about maybe building your career and like how to deal with office politics, all of this is more centered towards 9 to 5 office work, that kind of thing. So I feel like that's one challenge I always face, always just resources. And then the other thing is also finding relevant examples of people that have Black women, I would say, especially that have actually been able to upskill in my field of work. I feel like most of the examples I see usually are white women, right? So just trying to find Black women in the places that I want to go and just being able to relate with them and mentor, like get them as a mentor, that kind of thing. So those are the challenges that I face.
Thank you, Feje. So I think Anita just articulated my thought that you can actually pioneer. You're good at writing, right? So you can actually pioneer writing the
Amen.
book. No, you are no. You well, at least I've seen your write up, and you're actually good at it. So push that boundary. And for me, I think when I started reading this book and I saw that it was written by a Black woman and how she was able to break through and be successful in the Wall Street, I'm like, I think that just kind of gingered it more for me. But also, you're right. A woman of faith for that matter. So thank you. Anita.
Okay, thank you. If I pioneer it. Things like LadiesArise were birthed out of the frustration you just described, was because when I looked at, and that's where I'm starting off, it was a challenge. When I looked at where I wanted to go, I didn't see anybody that looks like me, right? And one of the things that my husband would always say, and I think we are finally starting to make peace with it, is that as individuals, we find ourselves in that space where we tend to pioneer things. You don't want to know how many rooms I'm in. I'm the youngest. I'm the only woman sometimes, or the only, in fact, most times the only person of color and the only woman of color, right? Or even if there are other women, I'm the only person of color. And so it often gets really frustrating. I didn't find anybody to say, here's the pathway to, advancing your career in this. I'm in government, so my industry, as it were, is not even represented in that survey, unless maybe they just assume that it doesn't matter if you're private or sector, you're just within those categories. But I'm in government, I'm in policy, and that's a sector that people tend to forget. Yet we're the ones that dictate to the rest of you how you should live lives. and and within that field, yes, there are more women, but when you're in this part of the world, there aren't a lot of women who at the top are people of color. And I know this because I work with executives. And so that's why sometimes I find myself, even as the youngest person, as the only person of color. But one of the things that I'm learning to now do is own that and say, well, if I show up and I'm seeing the problem in a way that nobody else in that room sees it, it means that there's a call on me to pioneer that and or start to speak. And Carla in the book really addressed so many things that it's a blessing. I'm about to, when we're done this, I'm between today and tomorrow, I'm about to record a video that, speaks specifically to faith. And I will dare to post that video on LinkedIn even. And anybody that has anything to say, they can come and talk to me about it later. But it's just that intersect of even allowing yourself be authentic at workplaces was very challenging for me, because the way I like to show up is not the traditional sense in how we're told that a woman should show up. And so some of the ways that I started navigating that was either educating people, pioneering when and where I can, speaking for people that look like me that are not at those tables. I find myself at those tables as a blessing and an honor and an opportunity to open the door for people that look like me. And also just, finding ways to even just finding creative ways to learn whatever I need to learn and ask myself some hard questions. So yeah, and I've seen that challenge for a lot of women, but even especially more so women of color. And there was a question I saw about even managing children activities, and Kofo, you mentioned about we're constantly negotiating for that time. Men, I find that men don't do that. You just see them pack up and say, I'm leaving early today. Where are you going? You're leaving early. What's up? And you just say, oh, I got to take my kids to soccer. It's, but for we women, it's like we're going to ask for permission. Can I leave early? Because, and then somebody will now start telling you, well, but have you done this? Have you done? And it's like we're in that constant negotiation, right? And so for me, that has been one challenge that I have seen. That has been one challenge that I have experienced. I thank God for where I am now. That at least by God's grace, that's no longer a problem. But yeah, but those are some of the challenges that you see. And we'll talk about the question on managing children activity as we go along. There's also a question in the Q&A box. At some point, we'll address those questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Anita. I can relate to some of your challenges. And for me, I would say the challenges higher because, like I said, I work in a male-dominated industry. And one of those, is Anita going? Who is going to share the screen for me? Anyway, one of the challenges that I have kind of faced.
I'm not going too far.
Okay, sounds good.
Let me just change it.
Thank you so much. One of the challenges that I have faced is just the fact that, the men, the people I work with kind of undermining my ability and what I am able to do. And by the time I am speaking up or I am bringing a proposal, it's kind of, they just treat it with levity and you're like, no, it's more like, what do you know? We know better. Shoot to decide. And to me, that can be very discouraging as a woman to say, in fact, at some point I had to start questioning my ability or my capabilities. Now I know better. Now I'm learning to speak up and to put my feet down. The other thing I found as a challenge was that, I'm trying to make a presentation and they'll pretend to say, oh, we don't understand you. It's the accept thing. I'm like, if you want me to repeat it 10 times, I would repeat it 10 times. As long as you get the message out of it. It was in my earlier career that I would be fighting that. How come would you say you can't hear me? But now I'm like, if it's going to take me 10 repetitions for you to hear me, I'm standing my feet and you would hear me and you would acknowledge that you've heard me and you would act accordingly. So those are some of the challenges, and I kind of documented some of the other challenges I have faced, which is on this screen. Oh, the presentation did not capture it really well. So one of them was like me having to work really harder to prove that I can do the job. I don't know if anyone have had to experience, like if they were to give the same job to your male colleague and give it to you. For me, it's more like I have to give in 10 times to show that I can do the job and I can do a damn good job of it. And even having to negotiate salaries is even one of it, and even gaining respect from my male colleague. Some of the respect I've been able to gain today, it took me about 10 years to gain that respect today. And to me, that's an awful long time for you to demand respect. But it was some of the challenges I had to face, and I'm glad I'm gradually getting to overcome some of those challenges. And there's also that double standard. It's one of the challenges I had to face. And for me, I wouldn't say I faced challenge with work-life balance because having time for my family or having to take time off to attend to my family need, because I had an amazing boss and he was very family oriented, very, very family oriented. In fact, I don't even need to explain to him why I'm leaving. As long as you make up your hours, however you make up your hours, you can go. So I've been very lucky or favored on that part. And I just thought to kind of include the favorite aspects of what I do as a career and how I've been helping to influence others. So I mean, in terms of my career, so I love being able to encourage other women. Now the population of women in my facility has been growing over time. So, and for me, I'm like, every opportunity to encourage women and say, hey, you can do it, especially minority women, not just Black, it could be Asian or what have you, especially minority women. I'm happy to encourage you. I'm happy to push you. I'm happy to help you see the other aspects whereby you can become more than what you are. I work in a production facility, and we have women that work in the shop floor as operators and all of that. And I've seen some of them setting those limitations for themselves that, I can't do office work. I'm like, why can't you do it? And I like look at myself, I'm doing it currently. So what makes you think you can't do it? So the fact that I can encourage other women, help them identify potentials in them and opportunities, and also the part of my job, the fact that I get to travel, all expense paid. In an hotel that even for myself, I can't even pay for it. The Jebu in me will be like, this hotel is too expensive. But my career has given me such opportunities to do that. I start laughing. Anyway, those are just, I just thought to kind of put some of the areas where I have faced challenge and how, as I'm growing as a career woman, how I am currently enjoying my career and being able to influence other women to say you can do it, irrespective of however our life pan out to be. So I'm looking at the time. Can we go to the next slide? I'm not going to talk about every other nugget I've put on this screen. And thank you, Anita, for trying to make the presentation clear enough for everyone to see. So chapter 1 talks about authenticity, and I can so relate to it. And I kind of went through the entire chapter to identify some of the subheadings that Carla kind of talked about. So she talked about the authentic you, the power is in you. And I think I like how the chapter kind of started out. And I believe we've read it, but I'm still going to read it out. It says, the day your company hired you, someone else did not get the job because you were the best candidate. They hired you because you had the best combination of skills, personality, and potential, and a unique blend of values and ability. So after you've gotten the job, why are you doubting that ability? Why are you doubting that capability? Why are you doubting that skill set in you? Your company saw something in you. That was why amongst whatever number of people that applied for the job, you triumphed. So now that you've started doing the job, why are you not questioning the ability? Or why are you allowing people redefine you for you? So I kind of like that. She says the power is you and there is only one you. There can only be one Abosede. And to me, I'm like, every morning as I'm waking up, there can only be one me. So she went into another subtopic on now, who are you? And she was helping to get us define. If they ask you, who are you, Abosede? What will you say? Can we define it? And honestly, I had to do that truth test. I'm like, okay, if I'm to define myself, will I start going through and there's nothing wrong in however how you choose to define yourself, but you need to see the value in you for you to be able to define yourself. Will I go and start saying, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a home builder, I'm a this, I'm a that. All of that is good, but there's so much more to that is, yeah, everybody can define you as that. Everybody can see me and say, boss, you have 2 kids, you're automatically a mom. Oh, you are married to Niyi, you are automatically a wife. Everybody can define that, but are there other things that people don't see that you can help them see and define you as such? To me, that kind of hits me. So, please bear in mind, we might not go through the entire chapter, but I am more of quality than quantity, and that's why I put this slide deck together that we can do a take-home assignment and go through it and do those assessments for ourselves. So I'm going to throw the question to us. Who are you? Ifejesu, who are you? Who is Ifejesu? She's thinking.
Yes, I'm thinking. That's a very
that was how I felt when I asked myself the question, who is Abosede? I had to hesitate, I had to pause, and I had to reflect. So in 3 adjectives, who is Ifejesu?
Yeah, I have to answer. Or is it just like a
Yes, now.
like think about the question?
No, we did not just read this book just to read it.
It's not rhetorical question.
No, we did not read it to just check off the box and say we've read it so we can come for the book club. We are applying it even right here at this book review. Sorry, my approach is a bit different, but I want us to be able to put it to use. So, who is Ifejesu? And the rest of us, please start thinking, because I can randomly call on anyone. Who is Ifejesu? If they ask you, Baba Ife's daughter.
Who is Ifejesu? Who is Ifejesu? That's a very good question. Well, Ifejesu is a work in progress. Ifejesu is resilient. Ifejesu is one more adjective. Ifejesu is, I don't know. Ifejesu likes to, this is a difficult.
That is okay, and I'm going to move on to the next person, and that's the challenge. But I challenged myself, and that's what I'm trying to challenge to everyone here. So I'm going to go to the next person. Fatima, who is Fatima?
Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Jesus, Son of God.
I wasn't expecting that. Like, oh my God.
Sorry, maybe
I was
when they
looking
should
for
ask you to
Ifejesu. Like, okay, let me
facilitate
tell
this
you
meeting.
Ifejesu, because I actually saw a post this morning. I was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you, girl. Like, that's a good one. So you should be proud of yourself. Anyways, who is Fatima?
Thank you, ma.
I'll say that I am a go-getter, and then I have passion for what adjective? Okay,
Yeah,
go-getter.
So, yeah, but my point is that I hope everyone is getting the point I'm trying to drive at. And what Carla said in the book is that the question I had, it seemed like a very easy question, but many people have never really taken the time to think about it. Who are you? Many people have not really taken the time. So, which means most of the time we've allowed people to define us. Some of us have accepted that definition and helped to redefine who we are. We've not really taken that reflection to look deep and like, who truly is Abosede? Or is it what people have defined you to be? Is the question. So, like I said, I don't mean to put anyone in the spot, but I'm more of, when you learn something, let's put it to practical use. So one take home today is define yourself. And I'm writing it down and I'll be throwing it into the group. Define yourself. Who are you? And I want every one of us to post that in the WhatsApp group. So that means you have enough time to do a deep dive reflection, think about it, talk to people if you want to, but don't let them define you. Just maybe to help open your eyes to see who you are, then define yourself. Is that fair? Yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Let's go around.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Precious says she wants a round table.
Oh, let's go around. Oh, okay. Precious, who are you? Who is Precious? I was trying to save time here, but don't worry, I'm very flexible to accommodate it as long as we're getting.
I was saying that it should be good if you go around the room as well.
Yeah, I would go around the room, but let me start with you. Who is Precious?
Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Son of God.
Who is Precious? Precious forgives herself whenever she finds herself in a situation where she felt she could have done better, and she tried to pick herself up from there and be better. Like Ife said, Precious is resilient. Precious is giving. Meaning I'm giving of my time, I'm giving of myself to people around me. Precious is family oriented, meaning I care about my family. Like, when I mean family, I don't just mean my husband, I mean my immediate family. Precious is hardworking. I think that's
Okay.
basically as an entrepreneur. Hey.
Did something just hit you that you said, hey, did another adjective of precious come up? Yeah, so, well, I would go around. Quick 3 adjectives. I see 2 Tolu here, so I'm going to call you out. So Tolu Lokwe, Shola Akiyemi, who are you in 3 adjectives? Okay, well, I'll go to the next Tolu. It's just Tolu. There is no other name to it. Tolu, who are you?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Tolu can be very brave.
Wait, Tolu can be very brave, or Tolu is brave?
Well, I think it depends on the circumstance.
Okay.
Where I find myself. There are times I'm timid, but most of the time I'm brave. I can speak anywhere. Tolu can be brave. Tolu can be caring, and she can speak up at any point in time.
Sounds good. Thank you. Kofo. Who is Kofo?
Jesus. Okay.
Son of God.
Lord Almighty. It's God. It's so funny as I was thinking about who I am. I keep thinking of who I am and who who I'm. Okay, let me say it like this. I am just like if I just said I'm a work in process. So I keep growing. That's one. I am hardworking, but I'm hardworking, but I know myself enough to know that I could be lazy, but I will still be hardworking. Even though I could be lazy, I will still push it. I would do it anyways, even though I'm scared. I know that I have fear a lot. I can't help it, but because I know that I can't help it, I will still do it anyway. I will deal with the fear, so I could be very resilient like that. That's 3 things. That's 3.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I took a twist to it with the bad trait. But I can't help it sometimes. Like, it's just, that's why I said I keep growing. It's just something I've recognized, and I know it's not who I am in totality, but I know it's something I'm working on. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last person is Kate. I'm not sure if Kate is able to talk. Okay, I guess not. But I'm glad we all went through this exercise. Sorry, Anita, I did not mean to skip you, but I'm trying to push for time, and we still have 10 more chapters to go. So bear with me here.
I just want to say something really quick also, something that I feel like I've noticed through this exercise. It's just that I feel like saying it also requires a certain level of vulnerability, and maybe that's why you get really hesitant when it's like, who are you? Because it's like, what if I say I'm this, and then this person knows me, and this person says, she's not that, right? So I feel like that's something that's so like a lot of reflecting, and when you actually really know, then you wouldn't be vulnerable, or you wouldn't feel insecure, or when it's time to actually voice it and verbalize it.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, and I think that's one of the things he's looking to achieve, to help us to be vulnerable, to see that other part of us. And in that period of vulnerability, you might even see that area of deficiency that you might probably need to work on. It's easy for me to sweet coat and say, I am smart, I am this, I am that, but that vulnerability also helps us break ourselves down and see the other parts of us that we do not even realize, and bring it to the forefront. So thank you. I see Kate raising her hand. Kate, are you looking to say something?
Yes.
Okay, I'm struggling to hear you. I'm struggling to hear you, and there is kind of noise in your background.
Yeah, can you hear me?
It's very, very faint. Can anyone else hear Kate? Maybe it's just me.
I can hear her very faintly.
Yeah, it's very
behind
faint.
the noise.
Yeah.
It's there, but
Can you hear me?
yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. In a word to describe myself. Are you getting? Hello?
Yes, I can strain my ears to hear you. So
okay. Describing myself, I would say I'm passionate. Then I'm this kind of person that is shy sometimes. I cannot speak out. And also I would say I'm kind. So
thank you.
that's the way. But I see myself that I'm not able to speak.
Thank you, Kate. And I'm not sure if some of us, we've seen some common trend in some of the response we give, not being able to speak up. And that is me too, at the earlier phase of my career. That is me too, not being able to speak up. And I know there was one section that Carla talked about, we need to speak up for ourselves, especially for someone like me that I work in a male-dominated industry. They will use those baritone voice to drown you. So maybe we can extend the conversation, maybe in the WhatsApp group, to look at what can we do to speak up? What are other people, what have you done? And what has other people that are able to speak up? What have they done? How have they been able to harness that weakness in them and turn it into strength and be able to speak up and advocate for themselves? Well, I'll keep going. 112. Holy Spirit, help me. So we've been able to try and define ourselves, but like I said, I want us to do that quick reflection and comment in the WhatsApp group. Who are you? Then she talked about authenticity transcend. I just wanted to run through that. Authenticity transcend the personality. I'm struggling up the ladder, but it's leaning against the wrong building. And know your goals. And on that aspect of the know your goals, she mentioned something, and I made a note here. She said, before you start to blame the organization for not seeing what you offer, ask yourself, am I showing them that I can penetrate or influence? And it still goes back to knowing who you are. If you don't truly know who you are, how are you able to set a goal for who you are? And how are you able to let others see who you are? And at the end of the day, we might end up throwing tantrum around and saying, this organization does not see the potential in me, this, that. But have you been able to present that potential in you to them? So like I said, it still goes back to who are you? Why are you in that profession? Why are you in that career? Why are you doing what you're doing? Some of us have said we work in the health industries. Maybe some of us are nurses, some of us work as policymakers, some of us work as HR, some of us even run businesses. But can people see beyond you is the question. So know your goals, keep an eye on your authentic self, focus on the right thing. And I think talking about authentic self, Carla talked about how she made people realize that she does other things outside of work. Like, for example, she sings, and from it, people got to know that, oh, she sings, and I think they did like some events at work, and they asked her to come and sing, and that kind of gave her more platform and visibility to a senior leader in the company, and who noticed she ended up working for that person. I'm paraphrasing whatever it is she said in the book, but keep yourself, keep an eye on the authentic you. Let people see beyond you. Some of us, how many of us are willing to talk about our passion? How many of us are willing even to talk about the country where we come from? How many of us are even can help people see beyond that professional aspects of you? And like I said, for me, it has always been the Nigerian accent was one of the issues I struggled with when I came in. Now, like I said, if it means me repeating myself 10 times, you must hear me. And this is me trying to stay authentic. I see Anita raising her hand.
Yeah, thanks, sis. I actually just even wanted to just add something, which is that, if you, the part of, I love the exercise, by the way, thank you for that. The question on who are you? How would people define you? Right now, for some people, if you're even multi-expression, if you're a multi-expressioning kind of person, for lack of a better word, so you do quite a number of things that on the surface doesn't seem like they connect, right? So for instance, how being a gospel singer has absolutely nothing to do with working on Wall Street, right? But if you're that kind of person, and I know I'm that kind of person, right? The ability to just show up in your most authentic self is owning all of those different pieces of you. The problem is when we refuse to define who we are for ourselves. Like, you mentioned earlier, people define us and we might not like that definition of us. And they have a way of validating and interacting with us in a way that further validates their perception and definition of us, which would always have that constant conflict with who we think we are on the inside. That's why some of us, you find yourself, you go to work, you come back, you're angry. This person said this about me, but that's not what it is. And you start having those conversations with yourself. And, research has shown, and I think Carla mentioned it, that a lot of women over time bottle those things up and they eventually get to the point where they think the only way out is to leave and go to the next organization. But guess what? Because you have not dealt with that. And the same applies. It doesn't even have to be only career, even in business. If you can't own to say what makes precious snacks, what is the differentiating factor? Why will people choose to come to me when they can go elsewhere? What is that thing about me that makes me me? You say you're very giving of yourself. Sorry, I'm using you as an example, right? You say you're very giving of yourself. How does that translate into how you show up as a business owner in a way that people are now then drawn to you and who you are, right? So it's important. Honestly, it's a great exercise that I encourage us. She said we should share it in the chat. Please, let's do that. Seriously, sit down. It can go beyond three things because, quite frankly, if you ask me like me to answer that question, we'll sleep here. It can go beyond three things. But if you had just 30 seconds to present all of the different pieces of who you are into three things, what will those three things be? And then start to see how you show up, making sure that you're constantly holding yourself accountable to how you show up, because that's when you're now being truly authentic. And that way, people are most likely drawn to you and would see you for you. I just wanted to add that because, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Anita. And like I said, please, like I think those pages I mentioned, let's be vulnerable with it. We are not here to name and shame anyone or for us to look superior over others. We are here to help each other grow. We are here to help each other excel. So please, I would encourage us to define who you are in the group. Can you go on to the next slide? I have so much to talk on this authentic self, but can you go? Oh, while you're moving on, Tolu, I see Tolu raised her hand. Well, she's
okay. Well, I thought you were going to move forward, so I lowered my hand. I just wanted to hear a bit of Anita. Anita should also describe herself with 3 adjectives. Let's know who she is.
Okay. I
just
think
3 adjectives.
Authentic self is winning. So Anita, go ahead.
The funny thing is the first word I'll use to describe myself is actually authentic. I don't try to be who I'm not. At least I've learned over time to not try to be who I'm not. The second word really, and I'll put 2 words together as one, is dynamic and versatile. I do a lot of things, and yeah, anyway, dynamic and versatile. The third word that I'll use is Anita, again, maybe 2 words into one, but I'm an empowerer. That's probably not a real word, but I love to empower people. I love to help people see the best in who they are and show up in that best. So 3 adjectives, that's what it will be.
Sounds good. Thank you. I have just how many minutes? So I think this should have been like a big extended conversation. But we'll go on to the next chapter.
I mean,
so chapter
if
2.
We're live. If people want, anyway.
No, yeah, but
time,
we still have to be respectful of time too. So And I'm a very great advocate of that. So I have to lead by example. So chapter 2 talked about be the captain of your career. And to me, I like how we've laid that foundation of who you are. Then now we are now building on, okay, as a career woman, because we can be different things at different times, but on your career. So be the advocate of career. And I kind of did this quick survey too. So I kind of threw this in. What is your ultimate career goal? Whichever stage of career that you have, what is your ultimate career goal? Where do you see yourself? Have you reached that goal? If not, do you see a path to get there? And some of us have said we are a work in progress, and I quite appreciate that. So that means for you to have said you're a work in progress, so you know where you started from, you know currently where you are, and probably what you need to get you there. So I'm going to pick randomly. Please bear with me. I'm working with time here. For those that said they're work in progress, you must have seen something. I think that was Ifejesu and Tolu or whoever that said that. So Ifejesu, I'm going to pick on you. What is your ultimate career goal? Have you reached the goal? And if not, what do you need to see to get you to that?
I've not reached the goal. I think what I need to get me to that point is courage, a lot of courage, a lot of, I think maybe experience also, courage, experience, and mostly courage, and maybe money also. And where I want to go eventually is I feel like I want to influence policies or influence practices that just make the health of women better, basically, especially in developing countries. So like when I think of my ultimate goal, is just how to influence policies, development programs that will just reduce maternal mortality, morbidity in developing countries. So a lot of courage in taking the steps that's necessary and just making the sacrifices that are needed to get there, and then the experience to get there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you on that. And this will tie us back into what Carla said about having an agenda. And I'm trying to see, so she said your agenda is a key to from getting you from where you are to where you want to go and be in your career. That is what she said about agenda. And she kind of went into lengthy details of what makes up an agenda. And I think one of the things I wrote down for myself is that it is important to define what you want for yourself as opposed to what the organization or your manager expectations are, which still goes back to who you are. Because if you don't know who you are and you allow people you define you for who you are, then you run with those people's agenda for you and not your agenda for yourself. So which means you need to understand what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses outside of someone else's definition. So within the context of career, your profession, I'm going to throw this question again. So let me see, for those that have not called on. Funke, please, as a career woman, what is your strength in your workplace? What is your weaknesses? One strength, one weakness.
One strength,
yeah,
I think is detail oriented. I'm detail oriented. So I'm able to see sometimes like gaps or things that are missing in a process or like the work I'm doing. And I think one weakness or an area of improvement would be confidence, like being able to speak up in higher exec settings.
Thank you. So I'm just going to pick, where is the comments? Look, sorry. I'm just going to randomly pick someone else. Fatima, one strength, one weakness. Sorry, all of us, I'm putting everyone on the spot. So Fatima, one strength, one weakness in the context of your profession.
Okay.
What is Fatima good at?
Educating.
Educating. And what is an area of improvement or deficiency or a gap that you need to work on?
Speaking out loud. Like I could remember, like when I talk to operators or maybe during investigation of diseases or whatever, like I'm always so timid Like, I'm always so scared to talk. I know what I want to say. I know everything, but probably maybe because they are white. I'm like, oh my God, Black teaching these people, so, and from everything you've said today, when you asked that question that who are you, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to change this thing. Because I remember on Thursday, I did one investigation on norovirus, and I was so timid when I got there. But the moment I started talking and people started listening, then I started speaking loud. So that's actually the area I want to, like, as in help myself, like try to, like, do a little bit better. Yeah, because I love educating. I love education. I love educating people. So I need that voice. Okay. And I need to be able to speak about that.
So thank you. I'm just going to run ahead on this section, but one area I'm going to focus on another action item for us. Like I said, Carla talked about creating an agenda, which is a key tool for getting up from where you are to where you want to be. So for me, I started out as, let's say, I'm starting out as an operator, working on the shop floor. And where do I see myself? Where do I want to be? Do I want to keep being that operator, putting the bottles on the line for me to be filled? Or do I want to move from that career path into, okay, I want to work in the office environment. I want to work in, let's say, logistics and supply chain. And now, what do I need to get from putting the jug on the conveyor to working in supply chain? Do I need to go to school? Do I have the education? Yes, I have it. Check it off the list. Do I need to do some certification to get me? Yeah, I need to do some certification, but I don't have it. Check it off the list. That's an example of you having an agenda item. Do I need to, even identify what are your skill sets? What are your hard skill sets? What are your soft skill sets that you might need? Maybe being working in logistics and supply chain might need you to be more flexible about your approach or on things. What do I need? If I'm a rigid person, whereby once I say no, it is no, nothing can convince me. How can you be a little bit flexible? So that's an example. I mean, just a summary of what an agenda item might be. So for us, I'm going to ask, whichever career, state of career you have, come up with an agenda item for your career. If you're starting out your career, the more easy it might be. And know that over time, this agenda item might tend to change, but at least have something documented as an agenda item. Where am I currently in my career? And knowing that there are different things that might play a role. Precious talked about having a family, having kids, and all of that. But with the agenda item, it can guide you, okay, when all of this life scenario come into play, how am I able to go back to my drawing board of the agenda item and move things around? I remember when I started out, at least when I started out my career, I was not even married then. And then I was like, okay, I have the support of my family and all of that. Moved out of the country, came to join my husband in Canada. Every other thing changed. I didn't have the support system any longer. So I have to go back and reflect on my agenda item. As I then, my agenda item was in my head. It was not even documented in my head. And I started having kids. And while I started having kids, it played a different role. So I had to go back. And those things, those agenda items will help me have this conversation. And even when I started having kids, my first child as I then was speech delayed. So which means I had to be taken in for multiple appointments back in the days. So that kind of set my career not black and white. Thank you. Write it down. It sets my career back, but it helped me to be able to have this conversation with my manager at work to say, hey, Caleb, I know this is what I planned out as my career. For the work for BA and all of that, but my time would be encroached on because I need to be going for this multiple appointments for my son. We're able to have this conversation, and that way I'm still able to give 100% at work and still give 100% at home. to my son, but that agenda item would help you. So like I said, irrespective of what phase of your career, you're in your mid-career level, or you are still in the early career level, or you are in the senior level, whatever it is. It goes back to the word of God that says, write the vision, make it plain. We need to be able to write it down. For me, I did not know any better. All of this was in my head. I didn't even have it written anywhere. And also be flexible when it comes to your career. So maybe for you are looking at, okay, I want to move from nurse to senior nurse to matron nurse to whatever it is. But another thing might come. So I'm going to use an example of myself. I started off in quality, doing quality assurance, quality control. I moved on to EHS because I'm like, okay, yeah, they're very similar and all of that. Then an opportunity came up as in continuous improvement. It is a total digress from EHS. I could have been rigid and I could have said, no, it has to continue on that path. I have to do for anything safety related. Now I'm currently working in continuous improvement, but I've been able to get learning from it to help advance my career. And from one of Carla's nuggets, he talked about, don't be so attached to your plan that you miss opportunities to gain exposure experience that could help you in the future. So please, let's have an agenda item. So one action item was define yourself. Who are you? Then the other one is that let's come up with an agenda item for our career. And if you want us to have conversation on what this agenda item can be, or if you want people to share what the agenda items look like, so maybe it can help guide your home, please, let's pick up, let's talk about it in the WhatsApp groups. I'm hoping this conversation will extend further into the WhatsApp group and see how we can help each other. If you have no clue how to come up with an agenda item, let's pick up. Maybe someone already has one and they can guide you on how to go about it. But let's pick up. My time is running. Okay. So and Lisa, please, next slide, please. Chapter 3 talked about you are the captain of your career. You are the captain of your career. And she talked about having to learn the basic of the job. And she was like, if you're starting a new career, she was like, you need to have like a 90-day plan. And in that 90-day, be open to learn. Don't come into the organization to come and start making change that, I have this knowledge and within that 90 days, you want to turn that place upside down. I have a current manager at my place of work that when he came in, it was not even up to a month. He was like, why are you people doing this way? Why are you doing it that way? Why are you doing it that way? Oh, we need to upgrade it. We need to revamp everything. And the guy has not even done up to 90 days. He became overwhelmed and drowned. And at the end of the day, he did not even end up doing even 10% of the task because he would do this one, he will leave it. Then he will say another thought, he will do this one, he will leave it. He will say another thought, he will do this one, and he will leave it. Instead of him that within that 90 days for him to settle down and react and try and understand, how was this department operating before I came in? What were their challenges? What were they successful as? How is the team? He did not really take that time to learn about the operating of that department. It was not on. He just kept finding faults. This is bad, let's fix it. This is bad, and they had so many things that he needed to fix, and he could not even fix 10% of it. So if you're starting a new career, the first 90 days should be, yeah, thank you, Kofu, should be more focused on learning about the operating of that. Even if you have a brilliant idea of how to make it improve, you are not in that department for 90 days. You still have forever, except if you are looking to change career at the end of that 90 days to make those improvements, but focus on learning and see how things are working. So she talked about seek out training wherever you can, learn the unspoken rules of the game. Back in my previous department, one of the unspoken rules of the game, no one put that standard, was during lunchtime, everybody would come to the lunch table. We had a long table outside the office and we'll be playing crib game. Do I know how to play crib game? No. But I would go and join. And that was how I got to know more about my colleague beyond like what else they do outside of work for fun. And that's when you can even talk about what you do outside of work for fun. Oh, I have to go to Bible study on Tuesday, and I have to make this, or I have to do. That's when people can know more about you. Then she talked about learning the key relationship the key relationship within your job that would help, that would help you. Sorry, I'm stammering because I'm pressed for time and I have so much to talk about. But the point is, give yourself 90 days. 90 days to learn the basics of your work. 90 days to see how things are, know the strengths of that department and how, and its ways of working and the challenges they have. And also seek out training internally and externally. I think it was when I got to this chapter that she talked about seeking out training and different opportunities for training. Training does not necessarily mean that they have to send you to the US or send you to China for training. You can go to LinkedIn and do like all these free training that LinkedIn has to offer. You can look for opportunities to train yourself. For example, I talked about trying to improve on my PowerPoint presentation. And I think it was this chapter that it for me that go and put a PowerPoint presentation together. That is an opportunity for you to train yourself on how to present and be better at it. And when I was putting this presentation together, I'm not sure it took me about 2 hours or so to put together, but at least that means back in the days, it might take me days to put, if I know I was going to present it, to take me days to do it, but continue to seek opportunities to improve until you become better at it. So that is what this chapter kind of talked about. We can volunteer if you are looking to make improvements on maybe people management, volunteer in whatever organization or maybe all these non-profits or whatever it is. Even within, for example, I don't know if one of us is believers, but if you're working in a church, for example, that's a way whereby you can put your training to you. If I'm struggling to manage people, start with managing 1 or 2 people assigned to you, then grow from there. At least that way, nobody's going to name and shame you. Nobody's going to set goals attached to you. It is a voluntary work you're doing, but you are learning from it. Please, sis, next chapter. Okay, so she talked about perception, and she says perception is the co-pilot of reality. And the question she kind of raised is that, how do people perceive you? How do people perceive you at your place of work? And it goes back to, this is so interesting, it goes back to when I asked the question on who are you? And that is where it is. If people have perceived you in a different light, then they would define you differently. But if you had come with the right perception of you, no matter, and if people end up defining you, it will most closely align to who you truly are. So you have the power in your hand to create the right perception of you in your place of work. You need to allow people to see you for who you are. So it's more like you branding yourself. Make sure that, and I think she talked about you walking the talk. So you just don't say, oh, we are going to do this, that. And at the end of the day, you are not even the one championing the change. For example, at my place of work, there was a new process we kind of rolled out, and that process at different levels. So we were to roll it out for the people on the shop floor, then roll it out for supervisors and supervisors, then also roll it out to senior managers. Guess what? With the senior managers, we had to drive the people on the shop floor. We roll it out to them. It was successful. You people are doing it. Supervisor, we roll it out to them. Then the senior managers, we sat back and relaxed. We did not take action. It was the people that came to call us out and say, you people have to put this process in place. We've put it in place. It's working for us. What happened to you senior managers? How come you people are not walking the talk? Like they called it out for us. So, and this is me talking about them, but you as an individual, if they let your word be that, let people know if Abose they say she's going to do this, she's going to deliver on it. And also, I think she talked about giving an adjective, defining yourself with an adjective. So I think there's this part that says, when choosing your adjectives, make sure that they are consistent with what the company value. So now all those definitions we've given it on the different hats that we wear as an individual. Now, if we're to define ourselves in the context of the work we do, make sure that that definition aligns with your company's set goals and objectives. which means we need to know what your company mission, vision, statement is, to know where you fit in and how you can play a role in it. Yeah, so I think that's it about chapter 4. I hate that I have to rush, but I will just go on chapter 5, which is kind of very interesting, and wherever we stop, I would hands up. So it talked about the mentor, the sponsor, and the advisor. And this is me, how many years into my career? I do not even know what an advisor. I've been doing it, but I didn't know it is called an advisor. I didn't know that there was something called a sponsor. I don't know if anyone is guilty of that as me. So she talked about the mentor, the sponsor, and the advisor. And she kind of defined the advisor as, someone that can answer maybe just discrete question about your career question. They might not go into the nitty-gritty of it. Maybe you had question on, I'm looking to move into this role. What do you think I can do to navigate to get me there? Compared to going back to Ifejesi's question on, comments on not finding women within a field that is talking about it. A mentor can now be, okay, I'm in nursing, my mentor is a nurse, maybe the person is a senior advanced nurse, and the person can kind of walk you through how to get from where you are to wherever you tend to see yourself in your career. But the best part I love is what is called the sponsor. And I did not know, looking back at my career, I had a sponsor, but I didn't know I had a sponsor because I didn't identify it. I didn't even know that was what that was called. And she talked about the sponsor as someone that can use their political and social power to move your career forward. So this person must have a say in your organization. So when they are making key decisions, maybe in management meeting, the person can speak up for you, the person can advocate for you, the person can help others see what they cannot see about you. I'm just trying to summarize it, but I think if you can read that chapter 5 and digest it, you would have to be able to identify, in my current career, who is an advisor? An advisor can even be anyone. And I have a question. I know my time is far running out. And I'm throwing it to the house. People that say they are career coach, what are they? Are they mentor? Are they advisor? I'm throwing it up to the house. Because I've seen so many people with that title, I'm a career coach. Are they mentor or are they advisor? What do we think? It's an open question to everyone.
I will say advisor.
Okay. And why?
Because they're just advising you on your career journey, what you should do, how you should do it, and all that. Instead of it taking longer, like it can be shorter for you. But I don't know, maybe I'm just guessing. So mentorship can just kind of like be like, they're just an advisor, maybe.
Okay. The rest of the house, what do we think? And I want us, I have my reason for asking the question. What do we think? A career coach. Definitely, I know they're not a sponsor.
So I really wanted us to answer. Before I say anything, does anybody want to answer? Go ahead, Precious.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, you are a career coach. How can the career coach answer their own question? But no, I'm just kidding. So I would say they could be a mentor, and they can act as a mentor and an advisor as well too. So let's assume they're in the same field as you. So let's say you're nursing and your career coach is also in the nursing field as well too, right? They could mentor you on how to go about it. They can also advise you on how to navigate, through it, and also mentor you in such a way that they are there to answer all of your questions because they're knowledgeable about your field. So for me, I think they could be both, depending on like what career path they are in. So.
Thank you. Anita, can you just wrap it up with your comments in 1 minute?
Okay, so I would even add another adjective to it, right? So Precious is right, Fatima is right. A career coach can also be your mentor, but it depends. There's a big caveat. But the other adjective I'll throw in is that a career coach is also a catalyst for you, because there are so many things in each of us that we often don't realize we have. And if you don't have somebody who is helping you ask the right questions about yourself, you'll never tap into that person that is on the inside of you. A good career coach would ask those questions and pull it out from you, provided you are engaged in the process that is set out for you. That's one. So there can be a catalyst to kind of like jumpstart you into even defining the first question where we started from, which is who are you? And the second question is, what is your career agenda? Because everything else will start to build on those foundations. That's one. Then they definitely play an advisor role, right? A career coach does not necessarily have to be in the same field with you to play that role. However, they can also be a mentor, whether or not they're in the same field as you. In that, for instance, for me in my career coaching, what I find happens is that the people who come to me typically are racialized individuals who are trying to navigate the system, no matter the field they're in. I have, by the grace of God, to where I am today, been able to understand some things that if you apply would actually help you navigate that system effectively, right? And so oftentimes I go past the coaching piece to the mentoring piece to start saying, do this, do that. People come to me with questions. This happened at work. Here's how I responded. I can then take on another role to say, don't do that. Next time, do it this way, right? And so sometimes you find that it shifts. Now, there are people out there who oftentimes just do only the coaching piece in that, they just give you, 5 steps, go and do, right? And that's where it ends. I don't know. There's no templates for, again, it's one of those spaces where you're navigating, and God helping me, I'm trying to pioneer some things as well, right? I'm not in it for just because I want to make extra cash, but also just to really help empower people to do good and do well in their career. So it depends on the role. Now, they can be a sponsor if they work in the same organization as you. If they happen to work in the same organization as you and so for instance, I had a mentor who, when I was working in the same organization as him, was also a sponsor for me, if that makes sense. And there are times that he steps into the advisor role. He's still my mentor till today. We still had a check-in yesterday, right? But when I was in that organization, there were issues that came up, there were things that came up, and this guy was behind closed doors, pounding table for me and saying, no, she's getting this, end of story, and really spent his social capital for me in that sense. So it depends on who it is and the dynamic of that relationship between you and the person.
Yeah, thank you for your comments on it. My time is up. But
you tell us why you asked the question.
Well, the reason why I asked the question is that I have come across some people that just, in my opinion, give themselves the title, I am a career coach. And at the end of the day, they themselves don't even understand what that word career coach is all about. And I want us to be very careful when we are reaching out to people with such title. So when you're seeking out either a career coach or a mentor or an advisor, you need to know exactly what you're seeking out, and don't just follow people. Maybe, for example, a career coach because they have such a huge, massive following. They're like, oh, they just come and do sweet mouth, and they just give you list of things to do, and they just wash their hand away from it. No, because for me, a mentor has to be intentional about it, and it's a two-way relationship. It's not them doing all the talking, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. You two have to work. So it's a give and take relationship. So that was why I kind of asked the question, so that we are very careful and mindful of when we are reaching out to people, either as a mentor or a sponsor or an advisor, we know exactly what we are reaching out to them for, and not just follow people for social media following because they have 10 million followers, they are the best career coach. Their vision might not align with your vision in terms of your career, or they might not even be able to add value to you. So that was kind of why I asked the question. So a take-home assignment for us is to kind of share what? Sorry, I did not get that. Okay, well, I can't hear you, but I assume you asked me to carry on. The take-home assignment would now be, do you have an advisor? Do you have a mentor? Do you have a sponsor? You can answer that question for yourself. And if you don't, do you have a good understanding of what an advisor is, or what a mentor is, or what a sponsor is, and have a set target on, I already have an advisor, but I need a mentor up onto what? And even for you to say you are reaching out to a mentor, that means you must have an agenda. You're willing to discuss with the mentor. Don't be like some Nigerians that will reach out to you and say they want to relocate to Canada. They will ask you to go and do all the legwork for them without even lifting a finger. Don't be like that. You must be ready to go through the hard work. So you need to start with an agenda. So first assignment is define who you are. Second assignment is an agenda. Like I said, please be open in the WhatsApp group. If you don't have an agenda, you don't know how to go about, you're confused about it, throw the question open. I'm sure there are resources in that group that can help you. And the last assignment is try get an advisor and or a mentor and or a sponsor, depending on what phase you have. Some people might have an advisor already and they just need a mentor, or some people might have a mentor and just need a sponsor. Yes, I'll be posting the assignments in the WhatsApp group, but I'm just kind of emphasizing it for us here in the group. Sorry, I overshoot time. I apologize. 6 minutes over. Hands up. I hand over to Anita. If you're talking, you're muted.
Yep. No, sorry. I was actually typing the assignments earlier, but yeah. So feel free to just add to it. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yes, these chapters and the summaries has been shared to us. I encourage us, even if you haven't read the book, go and read it. We talked about, we identified that some of the issues that so many of us have talked about here is I can't speak up, or I don't speak up at work as I should. It's great that you acknowledge and recognize that. She also talked about leveraging your voice. So, and then taking risks. So go back and do it. Network. Mentors are part of the network that you build and have. But there's other relationships that you should build, and she touched on all of those. And then the power in network. Anyway, again, go and read it. And then balance. This balance has been there's different schools of thought, and I kind of like Carla's inputs to it. And then chapter 10, she talks about expect to win, and this is very key too, because a lot of us, we show up in ways that we don't show up as people who are actually expecting to win. So really ask yourself, when I'm showing up, am I really expecting to win? All right. And then she talked about her most precious pearl is that she's a child of God. Guys, to be honest with you, as a person of faith, of the Christian faith particularly, I was very excited to read this book, and I'm grateful that it's a book we read, because I know that for me, one of the first things that maybe I didn't mention that before, but now as I'm talking, I'm remembering some things that I experienced was that push and pull between in identity. I almost sort of had an identity crisis in the sense that I wanted to be able to show up to work. And when people say, "How was your weekend?" and I'm hearing them say, I went to play what was that? Let me think of something. I went for hockey, right? I don't do hockey. I can't relate to that, but I out of respect will listen to what you did with your hockey. But then I suddenly started struggling to say things like I went to church or I went to whatever, because there was this perception at church, at workplaces, that you can't talk about your faith and whatnot. And after all, I started questioning that, right? To say, who says I can't? It's part of my identity, right? It's part of what makes me me. And if you're telling me not to show up with it, with that part of me, of course, I won't go around and people are trying to work and I'm telling them, give your life to Jesus. That's not what this is. But being able to at least speak to that piece of it. If I see someone in trouble, rather than just hold their hand, if I feel a nudge to say, hey, can I pray with you? It should not be a big deal. I struggle with things like that. But by God's grace, I'm continuing to learn how to navigate that space of bringing all of that into work, but also knowing that my faith actually helps inform and anchors me even in my career. So that really was something that really gladdened my heart to see. So again, read the book. Can we give Abosede a round of applause, a reaction, put a clap emoji, whatever you want to put, because I think that I really enjoyed the session. And like she said, quality over quantity, right? The book is there for you to read, but some of the conversations we've had are things that we're supposed to do with the books that we read. It's supposed to help us. It's supposed to help us challenge ourselves, look inwards and say what needs to change. People, the truth is that if you're going to be a woman who is rising in life, and rising does not necessarily mean a linear type growth in career where it's like, okay, today I was a project manager, tomorrow I'm a senior project manager, and I'm looking forward to be director of the project management team. It transcends that, but that holistic, intentional living, purposefulness. There was something she said, and I loved how she said it, that I was able to eventually show up 100% at work and also show up 100% at home for my son. Those are the kinds of things that we want to be able to get ourselves to build. That if you tomorrow, even if it's a business you run, that tomorrow when that business becomes, are you just building a business and is it going to remain a small business forever, or is it going to one day become an institution? Because if it is, trust me, there's a lot of work you will still have to put in, to become all of that. But overall, the question is, whatever you're doing, do you expect that you will win? Because there's a winning mindset. And with any mindset, there are habits that go with those mindsets. With any of those habits, there are things that are consistently and constantly part of your existence and how you show up and how you do things that align with, I was saying to someone, I work with teenagers, and I was saying to one of them one time, I said, look, if you continually follow this path that I see you following, here's where you're going to end up. It's not a curse. It's because it's a pattern you're proving. We all know that the sun rises, and then by the time evening comes, it starts to set. As it's setting, we all expect that darkness will fall at some point. If it doesn't, we'll know that something is off. True or false? True. Right? And so those are the things that we're talking about. There was a question that came in that I wanted to quickly talk about, and I have 3 minutes to go. It says, I work with a boss that would want you to do a task the way he had designed it. Even when I try to bring an idea, he kicks against it. What should I do? Now, we've talked about, in the book, it talks about using your voice and what that looks like, right? So there are 2 things. Before you go and even talk to the person to say, I put up ideas, you don't listen to it. First of all, sit down with yourself and ask a couple questions. Number 1, how does this person like information presented to them, and how are you presenting that information? And I'll give you an example. If the person, for instance, is somebody who likes visuals and numbers, and you're presenting your ideas in form of words and lengthy presentation slides, chances are that you're not going to get anywhere with them. That's number 1. Number 2, how high up is this person? What's their schedule like? Brevity. I work in policy, and there's something we call briefing notes. And I love the way when I was going through my master's, they taught us about briefing notes, which is be brief, be bright, be gone, right? So people that work in people that are in senior management and executive positions typically often don't have time for lengthy expressions of anything. You want to approach them, first of all, with a sales pitch approach, or the elevator pitch approach. So just in 30 seconds, 1 minute, sell your idea, and then say, I'm happy to provide more information. Now, again, these are the things that you may have done all of this, right? But I just want to start from there to say, first of all, look inwards. How have I presented this information to the person versus how they like information to be, how they like to receive information? Now, if you now feel like you've done all that there is to do, yet there still seems to be something, especially if you have a feeling like it might be a very intentional thing from this person, then find a time, book a time if you need to, and say, it's your boss, right? Can I have a quick check-in with you? I just want to, go over some conversation about, some of our work, and just maybe get your feedback on some things. When you're in that meeting, and this is something I have done personally before, right? When you're in that meeting, you want to now say, look, I just want to thank you. Start by thanking them for, the things that you've done, the work you've done, how you appreciate what it is that they do and how they show up, and say that, I love that sometimes when you give us directions and we do it and we get the results, it's amazing. But I'm in this space where I would love to sometimes share some ideas with you, maybe appreciate if you give the time, and if you can think of instances, call back those instances, but pay attention to your words that you're using. Make sure it's not coming off as accusatory, but it's coming off as you're trying to surface something, right? So pay attention to the specific words that you're using, to your body language, and say, there are times that I've tried to bring up, surface some ideas, and I get the sense that, the ideas were shut down before you even had the chance to hear them. But I know that's not who you are, and I know that you're someone who is great at giving feedback. So if there is a way you'd like me to present the ideas to you, that's different from how I have shown it, can you maybe just tell me what those ways are so that I can adjust to what it is, and whatnot. And as you're having this conversation, make sure that you're also somehow using intentional languages that positions you in a way that you are emphasizing your strength and the value that you bring to that organization, to that team, and to that leader. And say, here are some ideas that I've put forward. So let me know what works for you or how you'd like us to do. Here are some ideas on how I think I can communicate those ideas to you. Does that work? Present options to them. Don't just go to say, tell me what you want, but present options to say, would you rather I send them in slides? Would you rather I send them in visuals? Would you rather I send them this way? But you have to be willing to have that conversation. We've read a book on having difficult conversations, right? So maybe go back and watch that session so that you can take back some of that nugget and add it to it to say, okay, I'm going to have this conversation with this senior leader, because guess what? If you don't speak up, they'll continue to frustrate you. And you might find that the person does not even realize that that's the impact that they're having on you. So that's what I'll say to that question. And for the one on dealing with multiple kids' activities, really comes down to planning. I know Carla mentioned she calendarizes everything. I calendarize everything too, to be honest. If it's not, sometimes it's in my calendar, it's an alarm, it's in everything. So really, it's a lot of planning, a lot of just really sitting down again to say, what do I want out of life? What do I want for my family? And then how do they all come together? That's a whole session on its own. Is there any question, comments, anybody has that we want to add to that? Oops.
Yeah, I quite agree with you, Anita, on the balance with the kids, because those are the daily life event that changes the tone of your career, and you just have to plan and be disciplined about it. So I'm still a work in progress when it comes to having a structure and calendarizing things and learning to say no to some certain events. That's why some people be like, if they come into bed, be like, if they see me, they are surprised I'm turning up, because I'm like, I have everything planned out. I have everything mapped out. So if you are bringing impromptu, or is your case. You are muted.
Thank you. And sometimes if that's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen, right? It's that learning to say no is part of that balance. Personally, I know it's one area where I'm not very strong. I don't know how to say no to people and things. I would say yes, and I start struggling to say, oh, this was never in my agenda. How do I now fit it in? Right? So yeah, it's learning to say no. Don't let people encourage any other tips for balance with family. That tip for balance with family. We'll answer it differently, just not today because of people's time. We'll answer. I'm happy to even maybe put a voice note on the group chat. Once we're done, I can quickly put that in. But again, we have a session. Actually, we've done a session on this before, and maybe I'll share that link, and I'll encourage you watch that video. So that, and then if you have further questions after that, feel free to reach out and ask those questions. So that's what I think I'll do. Before I put any voice notes out, I'll share the video that we've done on work-life balance before, and then if you have any more questions after that, let's go from there. Okay, so for our book for May, our book for May is no. Okay, I was trying to share it. Can we see it? Can we see it? Oh, no, it's not. I didn't share screen. Okay, so our book for May is Master Your Emotions. That's the book we're going to be reading in May, Master Your Emotions, a practical guide to overcome negativity and better manage your feelings. Feelings are not necessarily a bad thing, but how we go about expressing them can be bad. It's interesting because I was having this conversation with a colleague yesterday. So that will be our book for the month. Again, we encourage you, buy books for yourself. It's part of the investment. We talked about training and learning and continuous improvement. This is how we continuously improve ourselves. Some of the questions that sometimes we have and ask are questions that somebody else has been through it, and then they just compile that all that wisdom and nuggets into a book and present it. I talked about becoming and the book. The things I've learned from the Obamas by reading that book, how they balance things, how they gracefully, live their lives. The things I've read, how they, we talk about them as power couple, how they became power couple and the things they did, the conversations, the kind of conversations we're having with each other and with those around them. Books can compress someone's 50 years experience into 5 hours for you if you're willing to engage it. So please, engage it. If you want, get the audio. So that's the book we're going to be reading, and I guess we'll see everybody next month. Let's not forget to do our assignments. Thank you again, Auntie Abosede, for putting it in the group chat. And please, these sessions hold 12 to 2 every last Saturday. It's important that we show up early, so that we can kick off early enough and finish early. So thank you all so much for showing up. Showing up in itself is a huge deal. So thank you for showing up. And yeah, any last words anybody has before we? No? Okay. All right. Well, then in that case, we are done. Yay. So let's do our assignments. Auntie Abosede, when do you want us to get back on the assignments?
I did not think of timeline, though.
Yo, there should be timeline.
I was hoping it should be like an ongoing conversation, but
ongoing, yeah.
Yeah, it should be an ongoing conversation. But like I said, my thought would be, let's start with assignment 1, because assignment 1 helps build on the rest of the assignment. If you don't know who you are, there's no way you can define an agenda for yourself. And if you're looking for a mentor, you don't expect your mentor to do the legwork for you. So
that's right. Okay. All right. Okay then. All right. So let's get going on that one, and then, ladies, I'll see you in the group in the group chats. We'll continue the conversation there. Thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks. Bye.